So, March developer update. With the 8.6.0 update quickly approaching, it's time to once again give you a look at the notable gameplay changes you can expect from the public test build next week. I think of it becoming a real one. Appreciate it, man. Remember on YouTube. Mending actions. Decreased self-mending time to 10 seconds was 12. Decreased altruistic mending time to 6 seconds was 8. We know that Deep Wound can be a frustrating mechanic to come up against, as it slows down the pace of the game for survivors. By reducing mending times, we hope to reduce this friction slightly. We want players to feel the urgency of triaging this status effect, but once they make the choice to act, we don't want them to feel pulled away from the game too long. Do you mean doing gens? Like, again, like, what do you mean the game? This is the game. Like, everything is part of the game. But yeah, mending taking longer, or not taking as long, sorry. This is actually a buff to Legion, ironically. Especially at the lower end and the mid end. Top end, this is just a nerf. In general, because now survivors can mend a bit quicker, which means that they're on gens 2 seconds quicker, right? But at the low level and the mid level, this is probably going to buff Legion, because survivors don't understand that you shouldn't mend quickly versus Legion at the low and mid level. So once again, buffing Legion, buffing Killer at the low end, nerfing them at the top end, right? That's just usually what they do, without actually knowing what they're doing. So Legion minor update. Decreased fatigue time to 2.5 was free. Buff. They're going to mess with his add-on though, which already did that most likely, right? Because there were an add-on what did something like that. So now you're just going to get that by default, but that's cool. Increased fatigue move speed to 2.3 was 2.7. Buff again. So better kind of pressure after he's coming out of Frenzy. Fell Frenzy lasts for 11 seconds was 10. 1 second longer. Buff. Fell Frenzy cooldown is now 15 seconds was 20. Buff. Movement speed earned by hit during the Feral Frenzy is now 0.24 was 0.2. Buff. And then adjusted the add-ons on top of it. Interesting. So Legion's better overall. It's almost like they've just added the most popular add-ons onto him, right? Add-on. Add-on. I don't know if that was an add-on. I can't remember. Add-on. So it's like they've just put like, and not just any add-on, like, you know, popular. One of the least of the popular, but still popular, right? One of the most popular, one of the most popular, right? That's what it looks like to me. They've just added the best add-ons. Something like that. To account for the reduced mending times, which is actually a buff at the lower and mid level, we've adjusted Legion's kit to ease the downtime between power uses by extending Feral Frenzy and adjusting its cooldown and movement bonus. The goal is to provide Legion with a slight buff to amp. A slight buff is so weak. Is that one of the weakest? To their ramp up as they weaken survivors, giving them more opportunities to lean on their mobility. Then with the adjustments to fatigue, they'll be able to get back into the chases quickly after Fell Frenzy ends to better close the deal. These changes will make Legion feel more of an active and mobile threat, reducing their reliance on more passive status effect. Right. Xenomorph. Increased tail attack charge time to 0.35 seconds was 2. That's a nerf. Takes longer before your tail comes out. Tail attack charge time. You don't charge with the tail. I think that means that there's going to be more of a delay with when you press the button to when the tail actually comes out. I think that's what they mean. So it's going to feel awkward and janky because it's going to come out a bit longer, which is going to make it feel like there's delay when you're pressing something. It's only minor, but yeah, you will feel it a tiny bit if you're used to the 0.2. So nerf, right? Increased tail attack charge sound. So they want them to be able to hear when they're about to do the tail. That's not the issue, devs. the issue isn't the survivors hearing the tail. It's you can hit survivors pretty much anywhere with it. So if they try and dodge, you can still aim at them, right? So I don't think this is going to do anything, but I guess we'll see. Reduced missed attack cooldown. Okay, so you get less of a penalty for missing. Increase the killer instinct. This is actually bad. Like it's good for killer, but this is not. This isn't the way you want to push it, right? So this is basically rewarding for doing bad. What they should do is reward for doing good. So if you do something good, you get big benefit. Not if you do bad, you get like less punishment, in my opinion at least. Because once again, this is lower in skill cap. Overall, it's minor, but it's overall, it adds up. Increase the killer instinct range when exiting a tunnel to 16. Okay, it's a bit better at finding people. Buff. Decrease the time it takes to get out of a tunnel. Okay, good. Getting to chases faster. That's big. I feel like that's almost a second quicker. That's big. That's one of the biggest ones I feel like at the moment. Increase the amount of fire needed to burn the xenomorph out of crawler mode was 175. Oh wait, wow. It was 100, now it's 175. I bet that's just what the add-on does. I think they're just adding the add-on here, and then here they're going to get rid of it and change it to something else maybe, or just make it weaker. Or it could have been 200, and now this add-on will just add 25 instead of 100. So it'll just go back to normal. What the devs do is they'll do a change, right? Because I've been with this game so long, and I know what they do. They'll do a change where, let's say, the helmet, right? It put the default from 100 to 200, right? So if you use the helmet, you go from 100 to 200. So what they'll do is they'll be like, right, we've increased this to 175 because we've seen it's a very common add-on, and we're going to decrease the add-on to add 25. So if you use that add-on still, you get the exact same benefit. If you don't use that add-on, you get a bit better base, but it's still got the weakness because usually you're using the add-on because you like what the add-on gives you, and this is actually overall weaker, but it does allow you to use another add-on. Do you get me? They do that all the time. So I wouldn't be surprised if the add-on, these changes, will have made the helmet just add 25 instead of 100. I bet that's what they do. Increase the delay before the xenomorph heat starts to dissipate. What? What is this? What is this? Increase a delay massively, by the way. 15x, whatever this is. 15 times. That is an insane amount more. But I don't know what this is. What? The slowdown from flame turrets. Is that the slowdown? What is it? If you take a tiny bit of fire, you don't start recovering until 15 seconds have passed. What's the recovering? When you get burned, a red circle builds up. When it's full, you're out of your power. That took 1 second. Oh, okay. So it isn't the slowdown. Because it gets slowed as well, doesn't it, when he's at a turret? What is that? Is that just slow? This is, like, I didn't even know really about this. Because it was so minor. Okay, explains before. Okay, so the heat starts to dissipate 15 seconds with 1. Decrease the xenomorph's heat dissipation rate to 2 per second, and it was 25 per second. Okay, these are massive, massive changes. So let's see. So in the current state, xenomorph's tail attack tends to be a little too difficult to dodge. Devs, do you understand that you've created a game currently where the killer needs to down survivors back to back pretty much at the first, well, injure a survivor at the first loop and then down them at the second one, or they get fucked? Like, do you understand that's the game you've created currently? Like, things should be difficult to dodge, because if they're not, the killer's fucked and has to just camp. They just, fuck it, whatever. Difficult to dodge with a short window between wide open attack. To give survivors more of a chance to anticipate and react to it, we adjusted its charge time, slower, and made the wind up louder. To balance this out, we've reduced the cooldown on misses, so Xenomorph can keep the pressure up. We've also found that the turret impact can be inconsistent, providing huge value at high skill levels and being very ineffective at low levels. Rather than having turrets act as an immediate threat that dissipates quickly, heat buildup will remain for longer. This should help a little more, give a little more value to smaller bursts of heat that aren't enough to knock Xenomorph out of crawler mode, as weaker turret placements can still build over time. To ensure this sustained heat is not too punishing, we've balanced it with a higher heat threshold for the Xenomorph. Devs, you better not be fucking shitting people and lying to people by saying that you've put a higher heat threshold because you've put it to 175, but then you nerf this thing, what used to get you to a 200, right? If it did. Does anyone know, actually, guys? You know that helmet? Do you know how much percentage it added? Because then we'll be able to just know it here. It wasn't 200, okay. It was 135. Okay, so they did buff that, so at least they're not shitting us. We also did a pass and Xenomorph's add-ons to buff some of the weaker, less used ones, while realigning some turret-based add-ons to fit with the above changes. So, this is almost like a bit of a placebo now then, right? Yeah, it is. This is less meaningful. So even though this looks good, this is like, yeah, this is a buff. It's less meaningful because he's more vulnerable to multiple turrets, correct? That's how it's working. So if you run into 2 turrets, he's pretty much going to be fucked. Yeah, okay. And then they've made his anti-loop weaker. Okay. The good guy. Reduce Hardy Horde mode cooldown to 12 seconds was 14. That is a buff. Reduce the time to reach max speed. Reduce the time to reach max speed after Scamper. Scamper doesn't work, devs. Like, it only works if the survivor literally can't dodge. Also, what does it mean by reach max speed? We know that the good guy's utility and mobility in chases has historically been one of his core draws. He's anti-loop, you mean? Mobility just sounds weird. While recent changes have made him less oppressive at lower MMR ranks, we've made some adjustments to get him back in the action quicker and improve movement feel, particularly accelerating back to speed quicker after Scamper animation ends. I'm pretty sure you can't hit people with Scamper unless you're like point blank, but you could just mouse wand them. I thought Scamper was dead. Terror radius adjustments. Increased hillbillies to 40. You spoke me with this. Wait, what the fuck? Oh, guys, why are they changing? Like, Deathslinger's looking at this and being like, why have you made my terror radius bigger? when I used to be level, like, I used to have 24 terror radius. Like, he's just looking at it being like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you said, devs, this is Deathslinger speaking, you said you wanted to put my terror radius to 32 to make it so every terror radius, like, aligned, and now you're making others have 24? Like, what? They literally said it. Look for the patch notes where they're talking about... Guys, see if you can find the patch notes, and I'll put it on screen, where they talk about changing Deathslinger's terror radius to 34, so it aligns with all the other terror radiuses. Try and find it. Weird. I don't know. But yeah, so, you know, buff to Pig, buff to Ghostface, buff to Skull Merchant. And then Blight and Hillbilly won't even care, if I'm honest. They just won't. They're already right next to you. I don't think it matters with the terror radius change. We adjusted several killer terror radius to better fit their intended play styles. Killers with high mobility that can zip across the map at high speeds had the radius increased to give survivors a greater chance to react to their approach. It's so quick, you won't notice it. We've also reduced the radius for stealthy killers to better fit the playstyle. Skull Merchant is a slight outlier. She cannot touch bullet for sure. We thought she could benefit from an added stealth support. Right. So, match surrender option. If one of the following conditions is met, the surrender option will be available on the match details screen. When all remaining survivors are bots, the killer can surrender without a disconnection penalty. What about if, like... What about if there's, like, 3 bots? Still kind of boring. It's very rare you get 4 bots. When no generator has been completed for 10 minutes... 10 minutes, devs! Or completed. Couldn't they do it where if a gen don't get touched for, like, 2 minutes or something? It's very rare a gen's not going to get touched for 2 minutes. Sure. I mean, they're trying it, aren't they? They're trying something. When all other remaining survivors are bots, the survivor can surrender without a disconnection penalty. When all survivors are in dying state, and the survivor can surrender without a disconnection penalty. Okay. These are more quality of life things. Like, I won't say these are bad ideas, right? They could go a bit further with it, but I guess these are like the starting points, right? Deathslinger's terror radius change was justified by lack of lullaby. They did another though, didn't they? I'm sure that it weren't just Deathslinger. We know it can be frustrating to find yourself in a scenario that's unwinnable. Yeah, that's probably like 2 bots is probably unwinnable. 1 bot you can do. I've done it with 1 bot. But 2 bots, probably unwinnable. Justice scenarios, as well as cases where the opposing side has been fully replaced by bots. Currently targeting the most disruptive cases. Yeah, they continue. And for all you plot twisters out there, we see you. This will no longer trigger... This will not trigger the surrender option. Okay, makes sense. Oh, no. So they got another Forsaken Barnyard, one of the worst killer maps in the game, just like the extended Bad Hams. So now they've got 2 of them, right? And they're trying to make the tiles improve navigation. Now, what does that mean? Improve navigation for who? Improve navigation for Survivor or improve navigation for Killer? In general, I don't think it can be in general. They removed dry branch bushes. But that's just for the top killers. I guess you got Huntress. No one wants a shack focus map. No. No. I know what that's gonna be like. It's gonna be like Scrapyard, which I used to think were good, but now I think is like super bad for killer. Because they can use the shack to get to different tiles around it. Everyone can simply surrender against Legion simply by not mending. You're right, Jennifer. Wow, yeah. You've found a way where people can just quit. What's that? Okay. And then this looks like the new stuff, right? Yeah. Is that a new tile? It looks new. They've added a new tile. We're expanding the Forsaken Boneyard Realm, a map pool with a new map layout with the Killer Shack at its center, featuring updated map tiles. Yeah, specifically, we've heard your feedback that Area of Crows can be difficult to navigate at times thanks to collisions with certain aesthetic elements. We've opted to remove the large bunches and branches from the map on this shack map. So only on the shack map they've done it, while also introducing double pallet tiles that we hope will add some exciting new looping possibilities. Do you think the double pallet tiles are interesting, guys? I feel like when they put both tiles down, it's safe. You just have to pre-drop, yeah. Survivor perks. Quick and quiet. Change the cooldown to 15 seconds. Wow. Okay, so buff. Increase the time during which you leave no scratch marks to 5 seconds. And the cooldown, so buff again. Wait, why are they doing loads of trying to, like, make you disappear stuff? Yeah, misdirecting. 5 seconds again. 15. People are gonna fuck with this, guys. And red herring, probably not. Minimum repair time to trigger the perk to 1 second. Okay. And 15 seconds. While these perks specialize in misdirecting the killer, we've found that their cooldowns don't match their value. By reducing their cooldowns, increasing the duration of their effects, specifically Deception and Dance With Me, we hope these off-meta perks... We hope to give these off-meta perks a better chance at value in Deception-based builds. So, buff, 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 buff. Let's see killer stuff. Knockout. Since I started using it about 2 weeks ago. When a survivor drops a pallet, if they move 6 meters away from it within 6 seconds, they gain 5% hindered. Knockout is a perk that's associated with slugging, leading to some particularly unfun game styles. We're looking to make changes to the perk whilst keeping it useful for killers. 5% hindered. Alright, okay. I guess we'll see. That's quite low though, right? 5%. Time to look for a new build. I told you, man. Dude, I told you. Like, when I find a build, and I'm not saying the only one who's found it, but when I find a build and I start using it, just wait 2 weeks, something like that. Something will happen. Do you believe me yet or no? Do you still think it's just coincidence? This happens all the time, man. How long has Knockout been out? And no one's touched it. No one's said anything. I've started using it. Like, it's literally about 2 weeks ago. And then just all of a sudden, yeah, we're going to just change the whole perk. Like, oh, it's funny, man. Alien Instinct. Increase the aura reveal duration to 8 seconds was 5. Increase the duration of Oblivious to 60 seconds was 20. Okay. Then a bit better. Hysteria. Increase the duration of Oblivious to 40 seconds was 30. Decrease the cooldown to 20 seconds was 10. Deathbound. Shorten the range at which the perk activates. That's meaningless. This feels like it's just nothing. Nemesis. Increase the aura reveal to 8 seconds was 4. Similar to above, we identified some killer perks that have been underperforming, boasting lower pick and kill rates. They're still looking at kill rates as a bad sign, isn't it? We've adjusted their values to help increase their viability in more specialized perk builds. Well, there you go. We've done it again. I found something, started using it. Bada boom. Destroyed. I need to stop finding stuff. I'm sorry, guys. I mean, it's not my fault. It is them doing it, right? Like, I'm just trying to find new things for myself. I'm not the one doing it, so I shouldn't really apologize. But yeah, weird. They still think, I guess, instant sabo is fine on hooks for some reason. Flashbangs being uncounterable. Yeah. Cool. Well, Jeej. That is the March update, right?